you, Madam President and members. I rise in favor of this conference committee report. I'd like to just explain a little bit about what this does, why it's needed, and who supports it. First, let me just mention to members that this legislation simply takes an employer's current sick leave policy and extends it to adult children, spouse, sibling, parent, grandparent, or step-parent. I also want you to know that it does expand the definition of child to include biological, adopted, or foster child. That is truly the extent of this legislation. There was no testimony against this legislation in conference committee. Well, I should say there were two items of concern from the counties and the cities. And their concern was, what if an employee had a large amount of accrued sick days? This is all about accrued sick days that have already been earned according to the employer's contract. They wanted to know, what was their liability? What if an employee had a year of sick leave or 2 years of sick leave accrued? They asked us to put a cap on the amount of accrued sick leave that could be used for these additional family members. And that is what we did. You will see that in lines 1.25 to 1.29. Those who were concerned about this legislation also had a second concern, and that was they did not have any idea how expanding this sick leave might apply as far as their bottom line. They couldn't tell how many people it might affect, what the cost might be. And therefore, Section 2 was added, the report, and that would be on page 2.11, and line 2 through 2.15, directing the Commissioner of Management and Budget to analyze and report to the standing committees here in the Senate what impact this has. And the two agencies that or organizations that testified against this bill or brought their concerns about this bill were the counties and the cities. And they specifically asked us to add a cap and to revisit the issue, which is what has been done in this legislation. So, and let me further say that the Chamber of Commerce is neutral on this. In fact, businesses throughout our state have found that employees who are able to take care of their sick family members are much more productive. Furthermore, this does not apply to the permanent time off or paid time off, which is what most employees use today. Only a few organizations or fewer organizations still have kind of the old model of vacation days and sick days, but many are moving towards the paid time off. But this is dealing only with those who have vacation and paid sick days. Members, now why is this important? This is important because our demographics are changing. I would assume that probably every one of us in this chamber might be dealing with a parent who is aging. We know how important it is that we are able to care for those aging parents. I will tell you personally about my experience. My father has Alzheimer's. He's been placed in a long-term care facility, a memory care unit. And you know, the research does show, members, that the longer there can be care in the home, there is a delay in the placement in a long-term care facility. And we talk a lot in this chamber about how we are going to manage taxpayer dollars. At the end of the day, when we have more people in long-term care facilities, we know that the majority, after the first few months, are paid for through taxpayer dollars. Members, this type of common sense ability to use your hard-earned sick days to care for a family member is not only compassionate, it makes sense for the taxpayer, and it makes sense for the worker, and it makes sense for the businesses because they are more productive. So members, I would urge a support of this common sense piece of legislation that is going to allow us to better adapt to the increasing numbers of elderly who will need this type of family support. I speak specifically about Alzheimer's. It is going to be the disease of our generation, members, and we need to start addressing it now. This is a very small common sense measure. We've taken care of the concerns that were brought to us at the conference committee, and if in fact we may have missed something, we will be revisiting this issue. Again, I encourage support on this common sense piece of legislation. Thank you.